Good morning everyone, this is Malik and this is the motherboard from my Dell Poweredge T320 server, and this motherboard has got a dead IDRAC. The IDRAC died on me when I upgraded the firmware from version 1.3535 to a version which, well, I can't remember, but it's something close to version 2. So basically I skipped a few versions. Now with a dead IDRAC, this motherboard takes forever to boot up, and the server gets very noisy as the fan goes at full speed. So unless you can live with that, you'll have no choice but to replace the motherboard. Now, doing some research, I found this very interesting video on YouTube by Junction Runner, where he tried to replace the eMMC chip with a similar chip. He had some success, except that he had this problem where he came across this card does not respond to voltage select problem. So what I'm going to do with this motherboard is that I'm going to try and change the eMMC chip here with an exact same model and see how that goes. Right, as a first step, I'm going to have to remove this eMMC chip using a heat gun set at over 400 degrees, and that's why I have put some heat resistant tapes around the chip to avoid the surrounding components being damaged. All right, here goes. Right, here's the eMMC chip removed from the motherboard using, well, my rather old dusty heat gun. And the next thing to do is to clean the motherboard contacts and to replace this eMMC chip with one of the same model. The contacts on the motherboard have now been cleaned, so the next step is for me to install one of these new eMMC chips and see what happens. They're only just a couple of dollars each, so I ordered two just in case. Before you install the new eMMC chip, you might want to check that the chip has already been balled. Basically, it has balls of solder already soldered onto it. This makes it easier when you want to install it. Just applying heat onto the chip will make the solder balls melt and attach itself to the contacts on the motherboard. Okay, heat gun is now set at 420. Chip is now all aligned, and here goes. Looks like the chip has already settled in place, and yeah, see what happens next when I try to power it on. Right, what I've done is I have attached the motherboard to the power supply unit and power distribution board, which I took up from the server chassis. I've also attached the fan, the front control panel where the switch is. I've also hooked it up to the monitor, keyboard, and also I've attached the IDRAC card to the motherboard. Well, the only thing to do now is to power it up and see what happens. I've got a green light and power to the fan, and I have a blinking amber light, which I didn't have before, so this looks promising. Right, so moving on to the monitor to see exactly what's happening. It's now initialing IDRAC. Well, I don't expect much because it's a new chip with nothing on it. Let's see what happens. It still is initializing, and the I don't know if you can see it, but the amber light is still flashing. IDRAC not responding. Yep, and the fan goes into full power mode. So what I've done now is I've gone to Dell's website and downloaded the IDRAC 7 1.35.35 driver. Okay, what I did is I downloaded this file, this IDRAC 7 underscore 1.35.35 underscore A00.exe, and once you've downloaded it, once you run it, it will extract two files, which is the firm img.d7 and a release note. So what you want to do is to actually copy this into an SD card and insert it into the IDRAC card on the Dell Poweredge T320, and hopefully it will load the this firmware to the IDRAC. Right, I've now inserted the SD card into the IDRAC card and powered on the motherboard, and I now have a constant amber light. Okay, so don't know what's happening, but here it is, and let's go to the screen to see what's happening. This is interesting. The amber light seems to have gone off, so you know what's happening. Well, let's go to the monitor to see what's going on there. Okay, not responding. Here we go again. fan seems to have slowed down, and I have a blue light at the IDRAC LED, and initializing IDRAC is done. So does it work? See what's happening now. And I get a F10 life cycle controller. Okay. Let's see if it works. Let me. Oh, nothing's happening. The fan is still spinning, but at very minimal speed. Still nothing on the screen. I wonder what's happening here. Looked promising initially. Let me see if I can restart and see what happens. Well, this is interesting. The front panel display seems to be working now. Okay, very promising. Let me try and restart the server and see what happens. Well, actually, I didn't restart the server. Came back to the screen and this is what I saw. Okay, so what I'll do is let me try and press F2 and see what happens. Okay, and let me go into IDRAC's settings, and it appears to be working. And yeah, well, I don't know what to say. Seems to be working. Alright, so I hope this video has been useful for some of you out there. To be honest, I'm quite surprised that everything worked out first time round. I suppose I couldn't have done it without all the good work and experiment done by a lot of guys out there. And this is just follow-on work from what Junction Runner has done. I'll post links to his videos below. I suppose the critical success factors for this project, if you ever want to do it, number one is to replace the old eMMC card with exactly this with exactly the same make and model number. Okay, and number two, you'll need a hot air gun machine which can go up to at least 420 degrees. I used 420 degrees when I removed the old eMMC card, or rather the old eMMC chip, and I used also 420 degrees when heating it back into the motherboard. Number three, you've got to have some skills or knowledge on how to clean the motherboard after you've removed the eMMC chip. This is to remove any residue solder on the motherboard before you solder in the new one. Number four, yeah, you'll need one of these IDRAC card. You'll need this if you're using a Dell Poweredge 320 or a Dell Poweredge 420. This is where you put in your MMC or SD card. Any SD card would do. And lastly, what you will need is to download the exact firmware version for your IDRAC that came with the motherboard. To know this, you'll see a sticker something like this. Sorry, it's upside down. It says there eMMC 1.35.35. So that's the IDRAC firmware version 1.35.35. So you just download it from Dell's website and upload, or rather copy the I can't remember, firm image.d7 file into the SD card and insert it into the IDRAC card. Right, so yeah, so that's it. This is my first ever video. It's not perfect. You have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to comment below, and I wish you all the very best. Cheerio.